Walk past 165 Great Dover Street today, and you'll see a perfectly typical scene of London university life. It's a bustling residential block, housing 769 first-year undergraduates attending King's College London. Inside, students navigate the mundane realities of dorm living. They're cooking in shared kitchens, using the high-speed Wi-Fi, and hauling laundry baskets to the communal machines. In central London, building high-density housing requires digging deep foundations, a logistical necessity that, in Southwark, forces a direct collision with the city's buried past. The everyday routine of a 20-year-old student here is a thin, modern veneer. It rests directly on top of a dense, largely invisible timeline of human activity. Because of this geography, 165 Great Dover Street operates as a vertical time capsule, stacked with distinctly different eras of the city's history. Beneath the linoleum floors are the remains of a Victorian heavy engineering factory, a 1960s criminal stash house, and an extravagant ancient Roman pyre. Those undergrads studying for midterms and cooking dinner are separated by only a few feet of dirt and concrete from an ancient Roman pyre. In London, the living are constantly, unknowingly cohabiting with the ancient dead. The most immediate layer beneath the student experience is industrial. The current dorms are an adaptive reuse of an 1897 facility built for Durrance & Company, a firm that manufactured boiler accessories. The developers maintained the site's industrial shell. On the Victorian facade, the building's original identity is still visible. Ornate cherubs, molded in 1897, are shown handling hot metal. Great Dover Street itself was designed for heavy movement. It was established in 1750 as a turnpike bypass road to alleviate the intense carriage traffic heading southeast to the ports of Dover. A bustling thoroughfare naturally attracts opportunists. In 1963, police opened a public telephone box and found 2 sacks containing around £50,000 in stolen banknotes, a stash directly linked to the Great Train robbery. Long before it became a quiet hub for higher education, this street was a highly active artery pumping heavy industry, weary travelers, and illicit wealth through South London. But the deepest layer of the site was uncovered during the 1990s. Before the modern dormitories could be finalized, construction was halted for an excavation. As the digging progressed, these overlapping dirt trenches revealed a complex Roman roadside cemetery situated right along the ancient Watling Street. Within those trenches, archaeologists made a highly unusual discovery: the remains of the Great Dover Street woman. She was buried using an incredibly rare method known as a bustum cremation, where the funerary pyre was lit directly over the open grave pit. Surrounding her fragments were specific, exotic grave goods. The pit contained unburnt dates, remains of imported Mediterranean pine cones, and clay lamps showing fallen gladiators. The peculiar nature of these items sparked a debate among historians. Was she a highly affluent Roman citizen, or a rare female gladiator who met her end where college students now sleep? Whoever she was, her resting place creates a striking urban contrast. An extravagant display of ancient death now serves as the literal foundation for modern youth. In Southwark, the high concentration of protected historical assets creates a legal perimeter around new development. They function as physical and statutory roadblocks to modern construction. This diagram illustrates a 53-meter-tall student accommodation tower proposed by developers in a 2011 Planning Inspectorate appeal. The massive structure would have completely dwarfed the surrounding 18th and 19th century neighborhood. The city ultimately rejected the proposed tower. The Planning Inspectorate ruled the building would cause real and serious harm to the historical sightlines of the Grade 2 star-listed St. George the Martyr Church. The church's untouchable status is largely due to its cultural protector, Charles Dickens. He lived nearby while his father was imprisoned in the Marshalsea, and he later immortalized the church in his novel Little Dorrit. Cultural memory and classic literature hold tangible, legal power over modern concrete and steel. The 2011 appeal illustrates the specific friction between the London Plan's mandate for high-density housing and the local government's duty to protect heritage assets. At this site, those two competing priorities remain in a permanent state of tension. Nowhere is that tension clearer than at 165 Great Dover Street, where Roman pyres, Victorian boilers, and 1960s criminal stashes remain stacked beneath the floorboards. Every fall, a new crop of students arrives to unpack their bags. They aren't replacing the city's history. They are simply forming its newest, thinnest geological layer in a 2,000-year-old timeline.